Yeah, both lungs were blocked by a Zot trap and a teleport trap, so you're like, how do you get in safely? Oh yes, the trapped lungs is a constant conundrum. There was a while when that change first got implemented that I thought it was a guaranteed thing and it was impossible to have untrapped Zot lungs anymore because of my fortune and just always having that. But as of late, I've definitely come around a bit, and I feel like I've been exceptionally lucky on the majority of my recent runs. And had at least one entrance open, though I'm probably jinxing this run as we speak. But hopefully we can see a similar result here. Knock on all the wood around us. And that is through Vaults 3. Again, no willpower. Not the best. Not super happy with that. Not super incredibly common to find a lot of materials just lying around vaults, I guess, unless you get lucky with very specific layouts. So maybe not altogether all that surprising. Crypt, of course, has nice treasure. Elf definitely does, but it's going to be a little bit sketchy getting through all those casters. Without any willpower in the first place, a bit of a tough chicken egg situation. Yeah, Caspia, you had a run the other day that ended in double unavoidable lung traps. Absolutely hate to see it. It's always a rough one for sure. And now here we go. This is starting to look like a nice ignition target here. Let's just get blasting. And you gotta love to see all those force mores. And just once more. Even the red ugly things through their resistances did not stand a shot. And perfect. Last preserver can just come upstairs with us. It's that easy. Hoping that all of you have used up all the bad mojo in the DCSS RNG, and I will be fortunate enough to make it through this run without the double trap. Though again, just by speaking in such a way, I'm probably guaranteeing that we'll have like triple traps blocking each of the lungs coming up. Only time will tell, of course. And one can only dream that we even get that far, right? Unless we get some willpower, chances of us even seeing the lung going to be a little bit shallower than I otherwise might wish. Please come this way, Sentinel. Keep blowing your horn. I'm a-okay with that. Perfect. Oh, and thank you, Cassiopeia, for answering there. Yeah, the double lung shape that you get in Zot 5, where they're just the big ol' spaces filled with enemies. There's so much vocabulary specific to this game here that I oftentimes have a hard time distinguishing them. Like the main word that I have a problem with in terms of DCSS is vault, because of course right now we're in vaults, but then you can also come across like custom built vaults that are just special sections that are, you know, customized. I also generally call treasure trove areas that are full of items vaults, so I just make it harder for everyone involved. Let's start igniting here, since we managed to get all of these enemies called in on top of our heads. And once more here, at least all the simulacrums don't really stand a chance against a full-fledged fire mage like ourselves. Human the Scorcher here. Absolutely sizzling. Kind of wrecking vaults, not gonna lie. Right, we've had our ups and downs, we've had some struggles in the early part where we're figuring it out. Don't worry, it's not my fault that the devs were irresponsible in their naming conventions. Perfect. Never my fault. That's the new solution. Just start inserting it into every piece of language until we degrade into a new pigeon speak of just vault. The all-important vault. Oh my gosh, immediately marked again here. Let's run back to our stairs. Play it safe. I love the recognition of your joke, Caspia, because it was absolutely fantastic. Ignition is like a safe immolation scroll, right? It is immolation scroll, but better in almost every way. Just absolutely incredible spell. There's a reason we spent our entire first day on this run. As soon as we start on a Fire Elementalist, I'm just waiting for the time that I get the spell online. Crossing my fingers and hoping that we get the opportunity to cast my favorite ability in the game. Hello, Annihilator friend. Can't believe we missed you somehow earlier. That's all good. Your level 5 wizard cast a level 3 fireball on the second level of the dungeon. Nice, nice. Also, should have definitely had statue form before coming downstairs. Immediately get marked again, don't mind me. As we just blast a couple of ignitions off, because why the heck not? It's nice when you're on a stairwell, you can be a little bit more liberal with your use of some of these spells. Just absolutely sling them out there, because we can always run away for the intermediate periods here while we have to rest up. Jeez Louise. And that should be most of the enemies that were drawn to the call of the Sentinel. At least one can dream. Looking pretty solid. And hopefully the rest of Vaults 4 here goes without too much trouble. If you want to throw more ice monsters at me, I will be so happy to accept that game. Also, oh wait, you're an animal. You can't open that. Whoops. Sorry, I didn't mean to shut you out, friend. I just wanted an extra second is all. We'll use Irradiate against anything that has resistances across the board. Most of these stone enemies do. Speaking of stone enemies, where'd that gargoyle go? Hello. Let's even double check for you. Yeah, you do be resistant to just about everything. Well, in that case, I mean, we've cleared most of the floor. We can make some noise. Let's start with Fireball, just for funsies. Should move on to Bolt of Magma, since it gets past some fire resistance. And then last but not least, never close. Jeez, brain, you failed me. Immediately just abandoned that sentence halfway through. But it's never a great idea to enter close quarters combat with a wizard like us, because we are an absolutely toxic individual. We'll blast you with all kinds of EM radiation. Okie dokie. Should be the majority of the floor here just about cleared. Gonna pick this up, immediately drop it, of course. We don't need to carry around multiples of those fancy little evocables. And again, we've got to be pretty dang close to finishing the job here. Let's throw out some good old ignition here. Make sure we're smacking around everybody. And there we go, we've hit all of our skill caps. Even when actively talking about how often I ignore my skills, I still managed to ignore my skills for far longer than I otherwise should have. Would you look at that? Incredible. Human mind is an amazing thing, able to trick itself into all sorts of fancy situations. But where do we wish to start training here? Is an Iron Shot also irresistible? Just can miss? I do believe so, yeah. Non-elemental source of damage, absolutely incredible. Things like Iron Shot, Luhudip's Crystal Spear, really great in a lot of ways. Just to have some all-encompassing, non-element specific way of, you know, just murder that thing right there very quickly. So we will almost definitely be learning Iron Shot. We did in fact mention it earlier and then kind of got distracted by how much I love Ignition. But Conjurations can get back to training a little bit, and let's take this as an opportunity with the reminder to take a quick peek in. Because Iron Shot fully castable already, I'm kind of curious what your spell power would be right now. 31%, that's not too bad. 96. The other incredible thing, I mean, does really good damage against metal armored enemies, I should say. But on top of that, the arranging of the die here, where you're getting 9d6, means a really nice, relatively high lower boundary on the damage, which can always be pretty incredible, while still being able to dish out the whole 54. So that's definitely on the menu here. The other thing I wanted to check out though, Spellforge Servitor, how you be looking. 75%, so we'll almost definitely have to train a decent chunk of summoning to bring you into existence. But probably do want to. I mean, now that we've gotten Lahudib's Crystal Spear from a Sifmuna gift, we can learn this spell with the intentions to never cast it ourselves. Because if we just learn Lahudib's Crystal Spear, our Spellforge Servitor can use it. And it's definitely one of the, if not the top spell that I would like my Spellforge Servitor to be blasting out there. Especially by the time we get to Zot, stuff like Orbs of Fire will get absolutely melted by the two of us blasting. And of course, Safid, you are completely right about the Kite Shield as well. It's something I've been forgetting to put on here. Not the first time, definitely not the last. We do seem to have those issues all the time. And hey, Railbird, the namesake of the run. Lovely to see you. Hugh, man, here, still going strong. Largely thanks to all your advice last session. Had the master themselves around to make sure we were learning all the tips and tricks. Yeah, hello. Okie dokie. Have a corridor full of enemies, so Bolt of Magma is pretty sweet, but nothing beats Ignition here. Game, don't embarrass me with a 2% failure rate. I said nothing beats Ignition here, please. There we go. That's more like it, as we absolutely destroy everything that arrayed before us. So happy to have this spell up and running. Incredible. But we'll switch over to some radiation here as we start making our way chunking through most of these enemies. Bolt of Magma again gets past some of the resistances that we're dealing with here, so it's not a bad option. Though of course, still managed to get ourselves into a wee bit of a pickle here. One more should do the trick, and then, let's see, Shadow Dragon Zombie. Smacks pretty hard, but that's about it. Behind you is a Sphinx that is going to start smiting us. What I think we'll do here is actually end our transformation and just walk away. No need to get silly with things. We can instead just head to our stairway, heal up, make sure we're in tip-top shape for heading back into combat, especially after dealing with the incredible crowd of enemies just moments before these buddies popped out. Might as well play it safe. Ooh, we get confused. Right, I kind of forget Sphinxes even do that. The majority of my runs by this stage in the game have at least half decent willpower, so confuse isn't landing. We're going to be struggling with stuff like that all game. We gotta make sure we're being a little more vigilant because we don't want to get taken by surprise too often with our lack of willpower. You just finished another 15 rune game yesterday. Your next one is looking good so far. You may break the curse of not streaking with Teamfire Elementalist, knock on wood. I definitely wish you the best here. In fact, why don't we enter into a bit of a pact? I'm not going to lose Human, and you're not going to lose your next run on the beginning of your new streak coming up. You can manifest that into existence with some positive energy here. But even just getting a 15 rune, of course, is always a congratulations worthy event. Absolutely huge. Was it a smooth 15 or was it a bit of a struggle throughout? Because I know that they can definitely go back and forth. You're always hoping that generally by the time you get to the stages in the game in which you're dealing with the last few runes in Extended, you're also in a pretty comfortable position. You got all the consumables you want, but from experience, I definitely also know that that's not always the case. And you occasionally have runs that struggle in the entirety and you're just constantly struggling against near death. Huh. This is a fun little area. Nothing but alarm traps as far as the eye can see. Let's close this door so that we don't have an enemy step into this alarm trap, but we can still see it. I mean, I'm doing a lot of careful, cautious play here, just to get marked. I was about to call it. I absolutely knew that we were likely to struggle under this anyway, of course, as the Sentinel just keeps marking us. What are you doing, you madman? That's wild. Gotta have been better uses of your turns than just making me glow brighter and brighter, right, friend? Game had some bumpy moments, but Sif Moon and Divine Exegesis pulled you out of a few jams. Love to hear it. That is awesome. And back to needing to enable some skills. What did I do last time again? Oh, right, Conjuration's up to 12. Oh, well, that was pretty quick. Let's go a little bit more wide this time. There's nothing that we really are in desperate need of narrowing down on getting trained up instantaneously here. So we can put on a couple skills around the table here. Conjurations, we can also maybe throw on Earth Magic for a wee bit. Let's bring that up to 14, 16. Let's keep it slightly low in terms of our targets for the time being, just so that we're getting refreshed on the need to keep changing. And I'm also going to start training evocations, hoping against hope that we have a condenser vein coming up here soon. And you're excited to try it extended for the first time, Makoto, after seeing some posts of people doing it on fighter without spells? No, definitely can be. I think my first character that I took into extended was a fighter character that had absolutely no spells at their disposal. I mean, at the end of the day, if you aren't doing it in a strict fashion, there are always a couple of like level 1 spells that aren't too harmful to pop on. Something like Apportation is really nice. Allows you to just yoink runes from far away. Ooh, so we get barbed here. Not great. Don't have good magic. Suffering under some damage, not great. And what is our will at? Is it still at 1 pip or have we gone up to 2? Still at 1 pip. Fantastic. You know that generally on a lot of characters you do eventually gain some extra willpower at the base when you're leveling up. Unfortunately, not so. And maybe that's just anecdotal and completely wrong of me. Who's to say? Probably someone in chat knows better. But unfortunately, we're struggling. Definitely struggling. Skilling in Trunks seems to be faster. That's interesting for sure. I'm happy with the speed in which things skill in general already, of course, but I'm sure after just a few runs of playing with the new addition there, I will change my tune. Like I usually do for most of the updates, where you think, well, it's perfectly balanced as is, how could it ever change? And then after just a few runs in the new system, you fall in love and absolutely enjoy it. We find the plus 18 Shield of the Gong, also reminding me that we totally forgot to put our kite shield on, even with some friendly reminders from the lovely folk in chat. Can't get through this dense skull. But the Shield of the Gong is fascinating. An incredible item in many ways, a plus 18 shield. So many people, especially in the early game here, will immediately put this on. Or not necessarily in the early game, but as an early runner. I think the first time I found Shield of the Gong, it's like, what? No downside? Incredible. We have to be ready to invite the wrath of the entire floor, every section from now on, down on our heads. And I mean, Safed, you exactly picked it out there. It has willpower. So no matter how dangerous it is, no matter how trappy it is, I think I might have to run it, at least until we find a different source of willpower, maybe another great shield. I mean, we're a blaster caster, so we create a lot of noise anyway. So that's something. I think we gotta go for it. I also love the theme of this little vault area here. All the alarm traps protecting the Shield of the Gong. Gong plus fire magic, exactly, it works out. Look at that big boy. I love that it looks so huge. It looks like a tower shield, but definitely just a kite shield in terms of training. But hey, we have a nice little look going on here, getting a bit of a thematic through line in terms of our color scheme, so that's nice. And let's just see, as soon as this gong gets hit, it will start ringing out across the board. But Railbird, I missed you saying if you get Death's Door in your library, you automatically skill invocations to 15, and that increases the survivability of the character a lot. Yeah, just with Divine Exegesis, makes sense for sure. Excited to potentially use that ability to save ourselves from some trouble, as we're constantly in the purple noise with the gong reverberating throughout the entire dungeon, I'm sure. Let's see, our invocations was at what, 12%, which brought Divine Exegesis to a 10% failure rate. And we're just kind of at the cusp of the PD level where that would have been unlocked. It's not horrible, but we might as well train up a little bit more invocations here, just so that when we do start using something like Death's Door, Bjorgnir's Revivification, is that a Bjorgnir spell? So many of the necromantic ones are that might just be my brain auto-completing it. Well, whoever has the Revivification, that can be a nice spell for sure. Perfect, as we hit level 24 here. We gained 2 levels in vaults alone, incredible. Shield of the Gong was vital to your first victories, you have a soft spot for it. Now, I think one of my early victories also, in fact, maybe my first, definitely in the first couple, because I had a gargoyle fighter of Quaslal as one of my first wins in the game. And so Shield of the Gong mixed with Quaslal's Clouds was just absolutely incredible. I mean, we were drawing the entire floor to us no matter what we did, so we might as well use the gong. And it just meant that all of our enemies just walked face first into our incredible storm. And save it, you mean there's no reason not to just cast Ignition? The shield just removed all the noise cost of your spells. Incredible. It's a win-win, right? Can now just freely cast whatever we want. Noise no longer exists. I almost, through muscle memory, started heading down another stairwell, but we've cleared through to Vaults 4, so let's be a little bit more careful about that. Don't want to go heading down into Vaults 5, especially with said Shield of Gong. We're drawing the whole floor to us if we do so. But okie dokie, we can drop our Buckler, I guess, free up some inventory space. Ring of Fire is kind of interesting. I almost always just throw these out. But as a fire mage, do I want to potentially try and use that? No, I'll probably get myself killed stupidly to an ice giant or something. Always forget to actually take those off after the fact. But okie dokie. That's about as far as we want to go through vaults right now. We did, at the end of the day here, in the very final section of Vaults 4, at least unless we want to go for the rune in Vaults 5, we did actually get a willpower piece of equipment. So isn't that incredible? So we'll almost definitely be heading now to finish out clearing our dungeon maybe. We could head to Elf. Elf would be likely to have some more treasures potentially at our fingertips, so that could be nice. Mikoto, your vote is that it's time for Elven Halls, or 11 Halls. I don't disagree. I think that that's a half-decent option here. Maybe with the caveat of finishing off our dungeon, maybe slightly more manageable, so we'll start there, and then we'll head straight to the Elven Halls next. Thank you, phone. Always changing our Elven to 11, eh? Such a pain. And it's funny, I never know if people's like autocorrect grabbed a hold of them, there was a mistyping, or there's always also the chance that there's a clever joke somewhere thrown in there that I'm too dense to actually understand. So it's a weird mix of wanting to assume that people are always correct, as well as not wanting to accidentally correct someone when they're doing it intentionally, and then I'm just the jerk in that situation who's ruining the joke. So many layers. But I'm no longer scared of you wizards. In fact, maybe I should have checked. Banishment down to 5%. Psh, that's nothing. We first faced off against you two when we were at a guaranteed shot. Do I ever clear old ghost vaults? Maybe if there's a really good piece of treasure. I know one of my runs in the past was having a lot of struggles and difficulty, and it was the very first time that I came across Ogleb's staff. I forget what Ogleb's staff is called, but it was my first time finding that item, and it was in a ghost vault, and I just desperately needed something, anything, to get me through the hardships in the mid-game. And so I ended up resorting to that and clearing through, and it made the rest of the run a cakewalk. That was, yeah, first time with that item, first time casting Ogleb's Toxic Radiation and Ignite Poison combo. That's where I finally fell in love with that combination. And you know what, I'm just gonna walk away. So Jogrun is interesting. We don't want to be in statue form because we will probably get LRD'd out of this world. I mean, fortunately, we do have a File of Floods, so we can silence Jogrun as soon as we get down there. I'm curious who else heard us gonging about, though. We're going to bring in more. You usually try to have 3 pips of willpower for Elven Halls. Ideally, I'm fully on board, 100% agree. Unfortunately, we've been struggling a bit. Struggling just a bit. But hopefully, we can all cross our fingers that at the last floor of the dungeon here, maybe if we decide to dip into depths, first couple floors of that, we'll find another source of willpower. And that will save us from having to run any highly risky strategies. But I'm going to silence Jogrun immediately. You absolute fool. And then Irradiate should just finish the job, no problem. And indeed it does. Perfect. You absolutely love to see it. And now if my Hydra pal would like to join us, our Amulet of Reflection also has gone so much more incredible. Thanks to the enchantment on the shield. 35 shielding is pretty wondrous. I mean, we're creating a ruckus. There's a whole bunch of noise as all these arrows just clang off of our gong left and right. But we do have almost a guaranteed shot of reflecting them back at our enemies, and that will also come in handy in the Elven Halls when we can hopefully just deflect crystal spheres back at the Annihilators left and right. It would be a thing of beauty. We can cast whatever spells we'd like. I might even take you two upstairs. Might as well play it slightly safer here. It's always tempting to just hold the line and keep going mad there, but there's no real reason to. We should instead heal up. You similarly took out Jogrun with File of Floods and hasted Fireballs. Nice. File of Floods has definitely changed my life in many different runs here. I mean, even in this run alone, fighting up against Nicola earlier, as well as Jogrun, those are the 2 uniques that I'm just always desperately hoping and wishing that I have a File of Floods by the time I meet them. I mean, there are a lot of uniques that all you need to succeed is a Phantom Mirror, but with those 2 in particular, it's definitely a bit of a different story. So stop turning into red ugly things. That's not great for us, you know? I'd much rather that everyone respected our wishes and, you know, build themselves around what's good for us instead. That'd be nice. As we reflect some barbs coming from the Manticore right back at them. Would have been kind of nice to have that available even just a bit ago when we were facing off against all of the, you know, they're a new enemy, so I don't have the name in my head. What are the stone doggies called that show up in vaults and in the Desolation? For whatever reason, I'm always blanking on them. I guess not even for whatever reason, it's very likely for the exact reason we just mentioned. They are relatively new to the game. Still getting the hang of that. Hey Brain, how's it going? Hope your day is going well. Always nice to see you around, of course. Yeah, you were playing Celasta earlier. Oh, also, thank you, Root Beer. Peacekeepers. You saved me. Brain was desperately whirling around the background. Gears were turning and turning, trying to come up with it. Peacekeepers are right. Yeah, with you mentioning you were playing Celasta earlier, Brain, that's a game that I want to check out at some point. I think quite a bit ago, my brother sent it to me with the potential of us playing together in the future, and we've just never gone around to it quite yet. but I'm excited to do so at some point with my life. And okie dokie, we'll just keep drawing everyone to the stairs. I mean, they added the Zot clock to try and curb the idea of just standing on stairs and shouting, the, you know, optimal play, taking as many turns as necessary in a boring fashion. But you can skip a lot of steps there and kind of do it fast enough if you just have the shield of the gong, because your shouts travel, or it travels a lot further than a shout, I should say. And so instead, you can just literally bring the whole floor down upon your head, and in few enough turns that the Zot clock won't even be a factor. Isn't that incredible? It's on the Xbox PC Game Pass, which has the promotion $1 for 3 months. Yes, I am also a recent convert to the Xbox Game Pass for PC because of that deal. I've been exploring a bunch of games. Me and my wife each got a subscription just because it's absolutely incredible value, especially if there are lots of games that you've been wanting to try out, but you know, you don't know if you want to spend full cost immediately to get it because you don't know if you're gonna like it. It's a beautiful situation to just be able to test out a bunch of different stuff. It even made me go back to Minecraft. I played Minecraft way back in the day when it first came out, a whole lot. Like when I was in high school still, which was essentially an eternity ago, even though I guess Minecraft isn't even that old of a game really, but the early days of alpha and beta build Minecraft, I spent a lot of time playing that game. And so because it came out on the Xbox Game Pass, I decided, you know what, I have no idea what's going on with that anymore. I'm gonna try it out. And it has definitely changed. There's a whole lot of new stuff. But it's been fun for sure using the Game Pass. I highly recommend anybody who has $1 to spare this month to take up that promotion. Incredible value. I'm also using it to play some Back 4 Blood with some of my family members. My younger sister and my older brother and I have always played, or used to play, a lot of Left 4 Dead together, and so having oh my gosh, Back 4 Blood, all that was running through my head was Left 4 Dead 3, but that's not what that is, it's Back 4 Blood. But playing some Back 4 Blood has been nostalgic in that way and pretty fun. Has changed a lot since those days. No, definitely Makoto. There were so many things I didn't even recognize. So many blocks that I keep getting confused with each other. But I've been enjoying Minecraft. I'd probably stream it as well someday, but I know that everybody under the sun has streamed Minecraft at some point, and it's a pretty saturated market. And I'm just another person to join in who has no idea what's going on, has no real things to contribute to the community in terms of Minecraft, and instead just like wonder about, oh wow, that's so different, that's cool, that's so different, that's cool too. But it's been a nostalgia trip for sure. When I was mentioning that I played a lot in high school, one of the main contributors to that was that I actually got mono when I was in high school. And so I was out of school for a month. And during that month, I watched all of Scrubs. That was my first thing. When I was still actively stuck in bed with my mono and like just could not get up, it was watching all of Scrubs. And then as soon as I was well enough to start walking around and moving a bit, I switched over to playing Minecraft, and I leveled mountains and built entire fortresses. It was definitely a lot of fun.